Are you having trouble figuring out how much you need to work out when you're already super busy and super active with other endeavors? Watch this.
Our next caller is Alex from England.
Alex, how can we help you?
Hey.
So I have a question about my goals that I've got at the moment. So I'm currently attempting my first ever bulk, but my job is very active. So I'm a class instructor and I'm also a PT. But because of the amount of hours that I do and the amount of classes I do in a shift, it's a lot of work. I feel overtrained a lot of the time. I'm currently bulking at about 2,700 calories. I finally started gaining weight at that amount, and I'm currently running MAP Symmetry as well, alongside of that, with the plans to move on to anabolic afterwards. But I'm just wondering, how much is my work really hindering my bulk just because of the amount of stuff that I'm doing? So I do stuff like spin, like legs, bums, and tums, a lot of running around.
Give us a little insight on like a regular week, because obviously we know what you do, PT. I know how taxing just being a personal trainer can be. But what is your? I'm more concerned about the spin and Group X classes. How many classes are you teaching a week?
So my shifts are currently 20 hours a week. There's anywhere from 2 to 4 classes in a shift.
Ooh, okay, wow! And now are you okay? When I would train Group X instructors, I had a split 50-50. Half of them would just instruct the class and not do any of the exercise with them. The other half would get involved and do the exercises. Which one are you?
I used to be the kind of person where I get involved, especially with spin, but now I've completely stopped doing that. I don't get on the spin bike. I try and not do too much in the classes, but it's kind of hard not to run back and forth, especially like circuits when you do the first lap showing all the exercises and stuff.
Okay, well that's a lot better though. There's a big difference between you teaching a circuit real quick or instructing versus you actually taking the class and sweating your ass off with them. I mean, there's a big difference there.
Yeah, so this is going to be based off of how you feel, Alex. So I've trained some people that have an incredible tolerance for lots and lots of activity, although that's the exception. The rule typically is that they have to really scale back their strength training in order to get results from the strength training. So if you're following MAP Symmetry right now and you're still feeling kind of burnt out, your sleep maybe isn't so good, you feel tired quite often, or you feel wired, you're getting the hot cold imbalances where you feel cold or you feel hot, that type of deal, I would cut the volume in half. So cut it in half and start there, see how you feel. If that doesn't do it, I'd cut it down even more and then start to really manipulate the intensity, like make it feel easier and lighter.
I would even challenge you, because here's the problem with telling someone like you to go off how you feel. If you've been doing this for a long time, you may be very adapted and you may think you feel good. So the thing I would be measuring is the strength and how you and your body composition, right? So if you are following a MAPS program, you're increasing calories, you should be putting on muscle, you should be getting stronger, and you should be seeing a physical change. If you're not, and you're not progressing, then I definitely would continue to reduce the training volume. But just be careful of going purely off of feel, because you may think you feel good when in fact you're just adapted to handling that much stress, and that you've never felt what it feels like to completely reduce it and take care of yourself. Yeah. So just be mindful of that.
I would start with half volume of Symmetry. Start there. Cut literally all the
sets.
At the
moment, I'm on phase 3, week 2. And I have so I've made like a bit of progress. I've definitely gained some amount of muscle, but it's just I do feel worn down, like some weeks more than others. But it's even like so I started with Symmetry because I kind of chose the program that I needed rather than I wanted to do, because there's some imbalances and aches and pains.
Good for you.
Yeah. No, literally take the volume, cut it in half. Do half the sets of everything, and then from there I would modify intensity. But I would start with half the volume and stick to half the volume for the remainder of the program, and see how you feel from there. That's where I would start.
And I'll still be able to gain on that.
Yeah.
You'll probably gain more.
Yeah.
If you're feeling burnt out some weeks, you're just doing too much.
Spinning your tires.
Yeah, you're a good example of when people reduce volume, that they all of a sudden start to see great results. So I just literally just do what I said, cut the volume completely in half, stick to that for the remainder of the program, and then fight the urge to raise the volume when you start to feel good, because what might happen is you might start to feel good, Like, oh man, I'm feeling my energy. I'm feeling strong. I want to push myself a little harder. Just stick with half volume for the remainder of the program and then take it from there. And if you want to add any supplements that may help a little bit, now I'm going to warn you, don't use these as the solution, just as part of the protocol. Ashwagandha, unless it's counterindicated for you, because I don't know your medical history, but I would go ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is really, really good at helping the body deal with just too much stress. And I've had a lot of success with it with myself and with clients.
Yeah. Okay. I'll have a look at that.
All right. Thanks for calling in. I hope that helps. You got it. Thank you.
All right.
You know, what's funny is that it's actually really common for, we've all experienced this. I would argue that most all, if not all, PTs go through this at one point in their career because we love fitness.
Yeah.
And we just assume that more is always better. Now, obviously, she's an extreme example, right? She's teaching tons of classes, and she's a personal trainer, and she's also following a program. So she's definitely an extreme example. But I actually think a lot of personal trainers fall into this category. And I mean, I'm going through this right now. It's blowing my mind how little I'm working out right now and the way that my body is responding to it. And it's just another like, oh my God, was I going too intense still? And because I wasn't training like every day like I have been in the past, like I assume that
you were basing it off of what you felt before.
Yeah. And so, I just can't stress this enough, like how crazy this can be. And again, I'm speaking to personal trainers, right? The general population, the opposite is true, right? The general population can't string 3 weeks together of consistency. They hate training a lot of the times. But for personal trainers, if you're a health professional, a fitness expert or whatever, this is something for you to look into that I bet you most of you would be surprised on how well your body may respond by reducing the intensity.
Yeah, it just reiterates, based off of the environment, that's really where you need to figure out what the right dose of stress is to introduce, so, for you to be able to adapt and respond in a favorable way, because otherwise you maybe just be adding more stress into the bucket that overwhelms the system, because it's just fighting itself right now. So finding that is everything.
Yeah, I had a client once that when I remember this might have been the first time I really figured this out, because I understood you got to do less, don't overtrain. I got that, but I didn't really get it until a little later in my career. I had a client who just was so active with hiking and running and swimming. And then they love to do Pilates and they like to do yoga. And then they want to lift weights with me. And I distinctly remember being like, we're going to lift once a week. We're going to do once a week. It's going to be very, very basic. Mm-hmm. And the workout with me is going to be like 35 to 45 minutes. And then the rest of it will be mobility. And I remember her going like, that's not enough. Yeah. And I said, let's just see what happens. And we'll measure it off your strength. And lo and behold, strength gains were phenomenal. And I was like, that's it right there. I was like, once a week and this is how I used to do once a week with a lot of people like this. I'd be like, just once a week. That's all we're going to do. And they got great results. Otherwise, it was like this back and forth. And are we doing too much? And what's going on? Let's figure out ways to get you to recover faster and trying to, plug every hole in the boat. When really it was just, you got to do much less.